Hey guys. Oh, honey, this hurts a mess. Hey, y'all. Welcome back to another video. Y'all, I've been telling y'all that I was going to do a video on live printing. And I actually had this video scheduled back in July for me to do. But I have to be like mentally in that space to talk about live events and stuff like that. So I actually wanted to wait on I wanted to wait a little while until I did like my next set of events, because when I do live events, it's really tiresome. And so today, in today's video, we're going to kind of talk about live events, what they entail. Is it for you? Is it not for you? I'll tell you guys the good, the bad, and the ugly about live events. In case you are new to the channel, I'm Latana, the Lady Print Boss. And on this channel, I teach people like you how to boss up in your t-shirt business, help you guys get started and kind of avoid some of the pitfalls that we go through when doing live events. Y'all, it is Saturday and I wants to be oh so comfy. Okay, so I'm gonna grab my blanket here and kind of wrap up and just kind of sit back and have a heart-to-heart with my followers and talk to you guys about live events, because I know a lot of you guys have asked me about live events. Hey Keisha, how are you? Hey Jesse, how's it going? So we're just gonna start from the beginning. So because this is gonna be for not just the regular people, but for everybody, y'all. So we started screen printing back in 2000. And in 2017, I was approached by a customer who wanted me to do a bar mitzvah. And so I said, yeah, I'll come out and I'll do it. And she was like, can you come out? Can you print live? At the time, I had a 6.4 with 6-color 4-station screen printing press. We took that out and we took out our conveyor dryer, and it was just a complete mess. But it was fun. And from there, from me doing my first live event, I kind of got the bug for getting outside of my shop, because I was always in the office from like literally like 8 o'clock in the morning to sometimes 1 o'clock in the morning the following day. So I really wanted to get out, and we did a bar mitzvah. The first live was really just the beginning of it all. When we went into planning the event, the lady wanted dancers. And so this is why when I tell y'all, hey, dance and all this stuff. So she wanted dancers, and I hired 2 dancers to come out and dance. We put strobe lights on our screen printing press, and you guys may have seen that video on my YouTube channel. It was called the Robertson Print Experience. And so that was my entry into live printing. And my first live event, I charged the lady $1,200 to go out and do the first live. And when I say this, so it was the cost, and that was just for me to come out. She had to pay for her t-shirts. And I think we did, and actually we didn't do t-shirts, we did hoodies. And we did, they may have been like Champion hoodies or American Apparel hoodies at that time. This bar mitzvah, this boy's, his family, they were rich. And so they really held back no expense. I didn't know how to really price live events, because live events wasn't even a thing. And it was just coming into the present. So I was like, well, $1,200 for me to come out. Well, guys, I ended up, let's see, at the time, did I have a truck? At the time, I had a truck. So I did not have to rent a truck, but I learned a lot from that event. The venue. The first thing that happened is when we got to the venue. So let me back up. So, by that being my first live event, I wanted to go out and see the venue. So I did. I talked to the lady. I said, hey, I'm going to come out. I want to come out and I want to see the place that I'm going to. Because when you first start, you have no clue of what's going on or what's going to be going on. So you got to figure out, okay, how do I get the equipment there? Where is it going to be set up? Is there enough electricity in that area? Is there enough room for me to spin my press? Because at this time, I did not have like a small setup to go out and do live. So I ended up going to this place called Chicken Scratch, which is in Dallas, down, it's like, is it like the West End area, right? So ended up going down there looking at the place. When I got there, it was all gravel, like complete gravel. And I was like, oh my God, I don't know how I'm going to get this equipment through the gravel. So we figured out that we could come through another exit. That was at the point that I started putting wheels on my presses. I actually put the wheels on my press in 2017 so that I could go out and do the lives, because my thoughts was I need to roll this stuff in and roll it out, make it real quick and efficient. So what I did in my shop beforehand is I kind of did like a mock setup. I saw the booth where I was going to be at. It was a long space, probably maybe about a 10 by 30 foot space. So I went back to my shop and I kind of set that up. And then I went out and I bought tables. At this time, you could get a 6-foot table for about $30, right? I want y'all to think about 2017 when I'm saying 2017 and telling you guys what I charge so that you don't make any mistakes now by prices from back then, right? And I'm gonna bring y'all up to 2024. So I went out, I bought 2 tables, I created a banner for the guy. I already had body forms in my shop, and my minor was visual merchandising. So since my minor was visual merchandising, I have no problems like creating backdrops and doing things like that, especially if I'm in like a retail space. And so even though we're doing like live events, we're, decorating mannequins and all that stuff. So it was really, really cool. So I wanted to figure out, okay, how am I I had 4 different designs. These designs, this boy, he liked, I believe it was Adidas that he liked. And so we decided to come up with an idea, a concept for the things that he liked. And we did left pocket logos, left pocket logos. And then we did designs on the back, and we had 4 different designs. And with those 4 different designs, we had like different color hoodies, and I don't really remember, guys, but we had bags, we had everything. So my first event, my setup was actually great. All I did was I just took a piece of paper and I put it in a folder, and I had like one of those folders that go like this, and I set it on the table, and it just said something like, grab your swag, choose a design, and watch the magic happen. And that was it. And we just folded the shirts out on the table. That went pretty great. Kids were coming up, and at this time, these are like 14, 15-year-old kids running up. Kids were running up. We were actually in the dark. So it was a good thing that we had the strobe light, because that was the only light that we had. So that was my first takeaway from that event, was that, hey, you need to know if you're going to be printing in the dark, if you're going to be printing in the light. Because if you're doing an event and it's dark, and a lot of these events are, even when I'm inside doing events, I'm finding that events are dark. Like I did one not too long ago, and it was indoors, but it was for auction, and they dimmed the lights, and I was cutting names and numbers and I could not see. So I had I had a little snap-on light, you know, the ones that you snap on to the side of the desk and plug in through USB, and that's how I was able to see how to cut the vinyl. So things like that, and these are the types of things I want you guys to take away from this type of video on live printing. So after the first event, or during the first event, I spoke to the photographer that was next to me. And the photographer was also charging $1,200 to come out and do photos, right? And so I looked at the photographer's booth, and I saw that he just had like 3 different backdrops, 3 different colors. He had a camera. The setup was really, really simple, right? It wasn't a lot of stuff for him to do. He didn't have to rent a truck. He didn't have to have people come in and set stuff up, load stuff, all of that type of stuff. And so immediately after doing my first event, I told Ken, we need to up prices on events. If we ever do this again, we'll definitely charge more. So my second event, I definitely charged more. I believe my second event was AT&T, because the lady ended up referring me to someone. And so from this event planner, which was the first one who was coming to me, she was actually coming to me to get shirts and things like that. Baby, look, stop calling my phone. So she was actually coming to me to get t-shirts done for herself, for her own business. And then she said, hey, she saw the press and said, hey, can you come out and do the event? So that's how all of that stuff started. Well, this one particular little lady, and she's still a good client of ours today. She then, after that event, we posted the event on YouTube. We posted the event on our page. And then, but nothing happened. Nothing happened. And then after that, she referred me to AT&T. And I did an AT&T event, which was my second event, which that event broke my spirits. And I said after that, I wasn't going to do any more events. So I'll tell you guys about that event. So my second event, I went up on prices to $2,500 for me to come out. By the time I did my second event, I still had a truck, but for some reason I had to rent a trailer. And I believe it was because it had been raining and there was a bunch of stuff going on. And we loaded up our trailer for our second event. And this is where I found out that I needed to set up my events a day in advance, or at least have all of my shit together, because my second event, y'all, I had a white t-shirt on with the RPG logo. It was me, Ken, and my son Z. The first event, it was me, Ken, and Kiki, which is my daughter. So the second event, I decided, you know what, instead of having Kiki come out, because by this time Kiki started, Kiana never really went to high school, y'all. Kiana went straight, like from 9th grade, straight into college, into Eastfield College. So she was doing her college courses and stuff and trying to do high school, and she's a kid. And so while she had great customer service, and I never did, right? Because I always tell you guys that my customer service was something that I had to learn, because I'm just not a smiley type person by default, right? So it's something that I had to learn. And I actually learned that from Kiana. Go figure. And I guess because I always put my two girls in that customer service role as them being like little girls, that they were just really friendly with people. And so I started watching the things that they do. So I decided I needed more manpower because the equipment was heavy to move. So Ken and my son Z started doing that, and I started going out, and I would be the person that would kind of deal with the crowd, make sure the crowd is under control, make sure that everybody's getting their swag, make sure they have bags, checking sizes on t-shirts, and all the other stuff that goes along with it. And so then I became, on the second event, I became the dancer for the events, because we liked the thought of hiring the dancers, but the dancers were pretty expensive, right? And the dancers, when we hired the dancers, they did not come out of my original $1,200. The lady ended up paying for the dancers. But so we said, okay, I'll just do a little skit up and down, and I can kind of, do a little something, y'all. So anyways, got to the AT&T event. Going to the AT&T event, I think we were supposed to be there at like, I think the event started at like 7, right? So we did not have, there was no stipulations at this time. There was no contracts or anything. It was just, hey, me coming out, doing the event. And we start to head to the event, and we had a flat tire. So we did leave out for the event at like 4:30, and the event was supposed to start at 7, but we had that flat tire on the freeway, and we had to have somebody come and bring a tire and all of that stuff. So we get to the event, and when we get to the event, it's literally probably about 6:50, between 6:50 and 7:15. By the time I get set up and ready to go, I'm actually late, because if the event starts at 7, we should really start printing at 7. So as soon as we got out of the vehicle, God just decided that Mother Earth was just going to rain down on me, and I had this white t-shirt on with a pink bra. And so that was devastating to me. Y'all see the kind of hair that I have, right? So my hair was straight by the time I got in. I mean, my hair was just frizzed up, puffed up, and all of that stuff. And so going into this event with that mindset, and walking in, and the event planner there, and the head lady over the AT&T event is there, and she's like this, right? It caused me to have a lot of stress and a lot of anxiety. And so I went in and started doing what I needed to do, set the job up. And then my son said, Mom, go and change your shirt, and I'm good. So we came back and we started doing the event. The event actually ended up taking off, and ended up going great, right? So after, what the fuck is this guy started calling me for? Hold on, y'all. Make sure that Ken is okay. It's a lot of shit be going on in Dallas. So the fuck are you calling me for? Back to back to back to back. Whatever's going on, if it ain't with my family, I don't care. Hold on, y'all. I'm trying to get into my Facebook and see. So we did the AT&T event, and that taught me something. First thing it taught me was not to wear a white shirt with a pink bra doing events. The second thing it taught me was to make sure that I had more time to set up than what I needed, and to plan for anything, like to plan for whatever I thought could go wrong, it will go wrong. So after the event, or during this event, I am and I'm moving the press, right? I'm moving the press, and I'm spinning the press, and we would do a little thing like this here, and then we would take the t-shirts and we would do a little rope-a-dope dance, right? So I'm out there and I'm spinning the press and doing my thing, and a screen popped up off of the press. The whole head popped up, went up in the air, started to flipping around up in there. I happened to grab it, right? I happened to catch it by God's grace. I ended up catching the screen. And when I caught the screen, I just did a little spin around, right, with it, and then turned it around and did like this and gave it to Ken to fake it off. The crowd went crazy, y'all. They were, woo! They were, really, really into it. They were drunk. But I knew that if that screen had broken, it was game over. That taught me something. That taught me that whenever I go out, I need to make sure that I have an extra set of screens. Because if you don't and a screen breaks, something happens, then you're screwed. Like the screen busts and you don't have a backup screen, then it's like there's no event, right? There's no event. If you get to an event and you don't have electricity, you are screwed. There's no event. So luckily at the end of this event, the lady from AT&T, she walked over to me and she said, "Is this your business?" And y'all know me. Because now, girl, I done did everything that I could do, and I know that I'm late, right? But this event literally started 15 minutes behind schedule, and I've been through a whole lot of shit. So the black girl starts to seep up out of me. So I'm looking like this here. I'm ready, right? Luckily, I'm married to Ken because my husband has a look that he can give me that is like, that look like, "Baby, don't you do it." And so I look over at Ken because I'm head cocked to the side. You know, when you cock that head to the side, you ready to say, "F it, I'm done." So head cocked to the side, I'm ready to give her the business. Ken's looking at me. I'm like, but you finna get this. You finna get this. Y'all, the lady said, "Well, it was obvious that you had problems." She said, "It was obvious that you had some problems." She said, "But you worked through it, didn't you?" And I said, "Yes, ma'am, I did." She said, "Walk over to the side with me." So I walked over to the side with her, and she took me over to the bar, and we had a powwow. She was older white lady and very, very militant type of woman. So I always say you never know people who you can learn something from. She took me over to the bar. She asked me if I wanted a drink. I said, "Well, we're working." She said, "Honey, the event is over," right? So I got the drink because I want to be sociable. I got the drink. And I think it was a Long Island iced tea or something like that. So I'm there taking a couple of sips out of it and everything. And she started talking to me about women in business. She said, "I really think it's great what you're doing as a woman in business." She said, "But I got a tip for you." She said, "Honey, never wear a white shirt to an event, to any type of event, because anything can happen. A glass can get spilled on you. Anything can happen, right?" So she peeped everything that was going on, and she knew that I was upset about it. And she told me that she saw it on my face. She said, "I saw the look on your face when you looked down at your shirt." And she saw that I was devastated. And she was literally sitting back there waiting to see how I handled myself under pressure. And if I was able to pull this shit back together, right? So at the end of the day, she was impressed. She told me some of the things that I needed to work on. And she told me, "We'll hire you again," right? After that, I was devastated. I think I went into my t-shirt printers group and I said, "Y'all, I'm not doing any more events. I'm done with events." That was kind of it for me. Because I was embarrassed. I mean, I'm a big chest girl. I was embarrassed, y'all. And I was like, this is just so much work. It's just too much work for me to be going out and charging what I'm charging. and then you got to go back to the shop and set everything up. So it was a lot of work involved in it. And so I was kind of like, I don't know if it's something that I wanted to do. Um, Fast forward, she referred me to Google. Once she referred me to Google, I didn't want to do the Google event. I didn't want to do the Google event. Um, it was winter time. I don't like to get out in the cold, yada, yada, yada. Um, Ken said, babe, try it again. Try it again. Again, I went up on pricing at that time for the Google event because by now I know that I need a trailer so I can have everything enclosed. I'm starting to purchase things for, I've bought containers and different little things, right? But I still did not have a live setup, like just like with, because when you're doing corporate events, everything is very, um, plain. So either black, white, whatever color you go with, everything is very, very plain, like nothing, because you are the help, right, at this event. You're not really there to promote yourself. So a lot of times that I'm doing an event next month, hopefully, and I'm still waiting on them to pay that invoice. But for that event, I was told absolutely no Nikes, no, not, no this, no that. Make sure, so plain, nothing, plain black t-shirts. So some of these companies that you're hiring, that you're working with, because you're under contract, they have different stipulations on what it is that you can do. So it's not like you're doing events at vendor markets. So I did the Google event. The Google event was went off without a hitch, other than the fact that there was ice on the ground. We got to the event. We still went to the event. We got to the event. That event you guys may have seen put up. It ended up being really nice. Anyways, that event ended up getting kind of rained out. And it was like, dang, I just made $3,000 and I only printed like 2 or 3 things, right? So I did not know at that point. I had a contract. And so my contract at that point was if there was a cancellation due to weather or something like that, then we would reschedule your event, or we would reschedule you for a later date. If you want to reschedule, we give you 50% back on the event, from doing everything that was set up. So they didn't ask for anything back. We didn't have to give them anything back. So after that, I just started, people started calling, because by now I've got 3 events under my belt, and we are also doing events there in my shop where people are coming. We would do sometimes, on the weekends, we would have a thing to where we would do a promotion and people could come in and print their own shirts and stuff like that. And back when I started screen printing, actually, before I started screen printing, I was still doing vinyl. I would go out and print so many shirts and take those shirts out into the street and sell those shirts. And that's a different type of events. I did not want to go that route. So there are 2 types of events that you can do. Actually 3. So there's 2 types you can do. You can go out, you can rent vendor spaces, and then you can actually pay for a vendor space. For me, if you guys have any questions about live events, go ahead and put them in the comments and I'll answer as I go through. Okay. So, the type of events that I wanted to do, in order for me to leave out of my shop, I wanted to make sure that, okay, I get paid. And so it started out doing events as just something fun to do, right? We went on to do several events. And then eventually COVID happened. And when COVID happened, we stopped doing live events. So I believe it was last year, January, February, last year, February, I told Ken, okay, it's time for us to get out and do events, because we were going through some financial difficulties from moving and all the stuff that had happened to me. And so, I was like, we need to get ourselves back out there on the scene. So that's what I did. I reached out to the event planners that I was dealing with previously in companies that I did live events from, and started doing my email campaigning back to those companies and stuff like that. And I immediately snatched like 3 events back to back. Boom, 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 boom. I bought a 4-color 1-station press. And that 4-color 1-station press made me $30,000 within like 2 or 3 events, just like that, right? And it literally put me back in the game. So as that happened, it was like, okay, let's reactivate the live printing page. So that's what we did. And I started back doing events. Well, y'all, I am 2017. We're almost at 2025. So 7-8 years later from doing events, right? I'm about to be 55. Here comes the truth of the matter. I can only do 3 or 4 events. And then when you do events, right, at the height of last year, I got back in soon as COVID was over and started back doing events, and it was in high demand. And so I was able to always get premium prices for live events. I'm no longer able to get that on live events anymore. And I'll tell you guys why. So we're living in a post-COVID era, right? So because so many people were locked up during COVID, and after COVID, all people wanted to do was get out. Let's get out, get out, right? And so last year, companies were willing to pay more for live events. So it was nothing to charge $10, $15, $20,000 for a live event, right? For me to come out and do live printing. However, as more people have gotten into doing live printing and not really knowing how to price a live event for an experience, and just pricing a live event for printing, right? It has really, really pretty much ruined the live event space, to where I had someone last week offer me literally like $400 to come out for 2 hours of printing, and me provide the shirts. Not going to happen. So, and I've constantly told people, hey guys, when you get into this space, this is a niche space, right? So when you get into doing this and you cheapen the space, it's like people come in, and then because they don't know how to price it, right, they cheapen the space. So the last few events, it's been on my mind that 2024 may be it for me on doing live events. And it's not one person, right? So when you start to price something and you talk to 15, 20 people, and all of those companies are passing you by, then you know that it's something going on with pricing, because we know it's not the experience, right? I'm one of the most experienced print shops out here, right? In Dallas. Like, nobody has the longevity that I have. I'm one of the first, if not the first, live printers here. So it's, for my space, is very, very niche. Now we have people who are this year started advertising in the city of Dallas. And what has happened is you got a lot of people, like, I've been talking to companies, and they're frustrated, right? They're frustrated because They paid for a live event. All the shirts didn't get printed. The shirts looked like shit. The organization wasn't there. What did one lady say? She just said it was just very chaotic. So it has kind of ruined the space. So I have to now do way more. If I want to get live events, I have to do way more to get these live events and to get those premium prices than what I used to have to do. And it just seems that after talking to people over and over and over again, that they're no longer willing to pay that premium price for screen printing, right? And the thing is, I've spent thousands of dollars on setup, right? Thousands of dollars on equipment to be able to go out and do these live events. To have people jump into the space that don't really know what the hell they're doing and don't really know how to price it, or you have companies who subcontract printers in cities, and they don't really know what they're doing, and so then the end customer doesn't get that live experience that they thought that they were going to get. It's much more than printing, right? And so trying to relay that to customers has gotten a little hard. So for me, I'm already booked out pretty much through the year on different events where I've got some things that are booked. I'm going back to it. I have to make a decision, right? And it's a hard decision to make because I was making some really good money on live printing. And even at the beginning of this year, I was making good money on live printing, but mainly on being consistent with my customers, right? So when you get into live printing, some of the things that can happen is I've been printing for almost 25 years now. So I have customers, regular customers that call, clients who want shirts and want product. And when I do a live event, it's 2 or 3 days setting up for the live, right? And that includes making the screens. I may have to create the design, and I normally start probably 2 weeks out creating the designs. Each live experience that I do is something that's unique. We try to make it unique to that company. So we try to make it themed to that company. And a lot of times we have to figure out, because these companies, they don't know what to do. So we literally have to figure out what it is that we should do for the event and present it to them, right? So that's why it's more than just printing. And so we have to literally come up with the theme of we say, okay, well, what's your theme of the event? And then we've got to come up with the designs that match the theme of the event. And so that takes time to do. Then we have to order the shirts, which we do normally anyways, right? We have to order the shirts. We have to fold the shirts a certain way. I found that when you just take shirts out and just stack them up on the table, they always get placed everywhere. So we do specific setups, or at least we try. But for me, folding the shirts really, really changes things to where people are not just opening shirts and shirts are not just all over the place. And you guys have to remember, I'm doing conferences, not flea markets. Okay. And so it's a big thing. It's really, really important that when you do these events, that your setup looks good and immaculate at all times, right? So constantly throughout the event, as Ken is printing, then I have to be not only dealing with customers, hey, can I help you? What size do you need? Da 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 da. Even though you have sizes there, you guys know the size of the print on a tag. Most people can't even see it. Most people can't see it. So things like having sizes up and things like that helps with your live events. Imperial Customs asks a good question. What is a good profit margin to expect on an event. That really depends on you and what you're willing to go out for. For me, if I can't make 4 times the amount that I make in my shop, I'm not going. And that's and that has to do with hauling equipment to the venue, setting the equipment up at the venue. A lot of times, guys, I don't set up my own equipment, right? So this is the thing. When you take all of your equipment out of the shop, so I had to actually invest in equipment for the live printing business because I found that we're moving our equipment out of our shop and then we have to move our equipment back into our shop. When you do a live event, guess what? You're not going to come right back and go straight to printing because all of your shit is everywhere. And so then you have to set stuff back up. So for us to be able to do it and still run TSD and Dallas Live, we said, you know, hey, we got to have equipment for this. It started out being fun, right? Doing maybe 100 shirts, 200 shirts at events. Then you get to the point to where people are wanting you to do 1,000 shirts at an event. And you have to literally say to yourself, how many shirts are you truly able to do at an event standing there printing? Because when you're printing in your shop, you're printing some, you're walking away, you're doing other things, you're coming back, you're printing. You're not standing there and printing 1,000 shirts. So this is what I want people to understand is that when you say, well, you make a lot of money on live events, you're doing a lot of fucking work and you have to hire people to come and help you. Now, I'm lucky enough that I do have my son, my nephew, and Keek, if she can fall in, right? And then I can still print myself. But you guys know I no longer print. So most of the stuff falls on Ken. Adrian is no longer with me right now. So I really did miss my nephew at this last event because not only did I have to be over crowd control, be the visual merchandiser, make sure that the setup, I go in and I'm the person that does the setup, make sure that everything is set up as far as the tables, the display. Ken setting up the press, doing the test printing, right? So you got him doing the test printing, you have me doing the display, and normally we have Adrian there who's doing something else. A lot of times when we're setting up big events, here's the deal. We like to set up a day before, if at all possible, because when you have to go in and do a 2-hour setup and then turn around after the 2-hour setup and then you got to start printing, it really is tiresome, right? So when you look at it, it's kind of like becomes, is it worth it? Because I can do, so let's say for example, so Thursday I did an event, right? The event I did Thursday was nothing but a 2-hour event. I took the whole day on Tuesday and Wednesday to set up for the event, right? To get everything set up here for me to do the event. Going and getting everything out and testing everything, making sure everything was together. So that's 2 days of work missed, right? Then you got Thursday. After coming from the event, you're tired from doing the event. Friday, I slept. So it's literally like for that one day that you go out and you do that event, it's 4 days worth of work. And that's why I charge what I charge for live events, because it's not just, oh, you're just going to grab this, throw this in the cart, go do this. No, it does. It's not like that. And until you start doing events, you don't really get it and you don't really understand like what all goes into it, and the stress on your body, because you go out and you print 700-800 shirts in a day and you see if you're going how you're going to feel that next day. And especially if you go and you do it after, like even with this event, we did about 200 shirts. There was only literally supposed to be 100 people there. We printed more than what we were supposed to, right? and the crowd was moving. So, as most people, this is what I'm going to tell you guys. If you go out and you do an event, you want to make sure that you have help. You have to have help. If Ken is an experienced printer as he is a master printer, and me being experienced as I am, and we still need help, you need help, right? So, and I say that because with this last event, y'all know everything, the day before the event, I was really, really frustrated. So if y'all seen my last video, right? Hey, Cynthia. Hey, Baby Giant. If y'all seen my last video before the event, everything that could have gone wrong that day literally went wrong. We had, so we got up at 6 a.m. that morning because we were going to set up the day before the event, right? We were going to set up the day before the event. What happened is we got up to go to the storage to get everything out of the storage so that we could set up. I got up a little bit earlier and set up the table in the living room and started setting up the merch on the tables. Because as I told you guys, every event is different. Every setup is a little bit different. You'll get your setup, right? And you'll know how you want your tabletop to be, and then you can snap a picture of it. So when you get to the event, now you know, okay, this is basically how things are going to be. Sometimes you get to a venue, because nowadays when I'm doing corporate events, we may not have the opportunity to we don't have the opportunity to know what the venue looks like before we get there. So when we got to this event, we're going in a straight line. The setup is for a straight line because that's what they told me. We're going to have 2 tables side by side. We got there. I started to do the setup. The fire marshal came in and said, no, you can't be set up like this. You can't have this table here. So then we had to turn to, because now at that point, and this is what happens. At that point, the people who are hosting the event, right? They're looking to you as the printer to figure out what you're going to do, because they're like, the fire marshal says we can't set up here. We can't do this. We can't. Hold up, I got it. Let me go talk to him, right? So now you got to boss up at these events, because baby, with the fire marshal shut the event down, guess what? Somebody gonna want their money back. I don't care what the contract says. So let me go over here and handle this, right? Companies look at the way that you handle things. So I go over, I say, sir, I'm LaTonna Robertson, T-shirt shop, Dallas Live Printing, Ask him, what's going on? They told me that, there's an issue with the setup. And so then he says, hey, we have to have a 6-foot clearance, Comes over, he explains everything to me. I said, okay, great, fine. That cord can't be here. You got to do this here. We're going to tape that down, blah, blah, blah. Boom. Okay. So now it's, okay, let's change the setup around. That type of stuff in the midst of it. So what you have to do, even though you may be on the inside in panic mode, you have to then turn to the client and say, hey, I got it. We got it all figured out. Ain't got shit figured out, right? But we got it all figured out with a smile, and we're going to deal with it. Oh, LaTonna, you're the best. Ken, let's have a conversation. Whenever I get into a situation where I feel tense, you get that feeling of like you're frustrated, then I go off to myself and talk to my husband and say, hey, we need to figure out, okay, so we need to figure out how we're going to change the setup. And the reason it matters is because wherever the electricity is, right, you have to make sure that whatever dryer you have is going to reach there. You have to make sure that the printing press is in a position to where people can literally walk up to him, get the shirt printed, walk to the other side, get it from the dryer, which in this situation, I'm the person that's drying. I'm also the person who's manning the tables. So the tables need to be set in a way to where I can literally take 2 or 3 steps to the left, 2 or 3 steps to the right. So 2 or 3 steps to the left to grab the shirt off the press, 2 or 3 steps to the right to talk to people and explain to them about what they're getting to do the customer service. Y'all understand? So it's not as if you can just change things like that. You have to figure out the logistics and how this is going to work and how the crowd is going to be controlled. So it's a lot of stuff that goes into it. And this is why I know that we're worth what we're paid, right? And more, because we have experienced this and we know how to shift the crowd, how to make sure that everything stays organized. I'm really big on organization. So we ended up figuring that out. And then I walked back over and said, okay, let's go ahead and set it up. Just from that interaction with the fire marshal, it made us have to reconfigure everything. And when you have to reconfigure everything, then it slows you down, right? This event started at 11. We got there at 9. I'm going to tell you guys, anytime that you do an event and they say, hey, the event's going to start at this time, if you don't do the event set up the day before, trust and believe that while you're setting up the event, you're going to have at least 3 or 4 nosy people who are going to come over and say, well, what's going on? Can I get a shirt? And they see that you're not set up, right? Even if you put up a sign that says event starting at such and such time, you got to have that up. They're still going to come and start asking questions, touching on shit, and making your blood pressure go up. And no matter how many events you do, it fucks with you, right? So you have to make sure that you're able to deal with the stress levels, because I tell y'all, the stress of doing these events, sometimes it's really high, but it will pay off, right? It can pay off. Sometimes it can pay off big. Sometimes it's a wash, right? So we did the setup, and like I said, we had people who were coming by, and Ken's the type of person that he's going to tell, oh, I'll go ahead and do it for you. And I'm like, no, you haven't done a test sprint. You need to do the test sprint, And so he's that person that is the pleaser in the relationship. And so he's the person that's the pleaser. So he will try to please the customers or the guests and say, yeah, we can go ahead and do that for you. And then we bypass steps. And that's something that we have to work out between us, because once you do that, right? And this is from me being the boss of the situation. I am the person who's by the book. We're going to be open in about 30 minutes, right? And I'm done. I take that approach. Ken takes the approach of when they walk up, baby, let's just start doing it. I take the approach of, no, we're going to do this. So I'm going to tell you his approach and the effects of it and my approach. When I do that, it gives me time to literally finish completely setting up, work out all of the hiccups, make sure the screens are aligned, make sure that there's no extra dots on the press or anything like that. And then after I set up, I take me 10 minutes. I'm going to take 10 minutes to go and chill and sit down, get myself together. Because once I set up the booth, when I say sit down, don't sit down at the booth, honey. You got your sign that says the event will start at such time. You walk away. Go to the restroom, go down the hall, go outside, do whatever you got to do to get away, to get your mind right and get prepared, right? Go get a cold drink. Just chill and relax and get ready to go, because it's showtime. And once you come back and it's showtime, I'm happy, right? So with Ken's approach, it still works, but you're trying to get things done to set up, and things are not quite set up, and so it gets kind of chaotic. So at this event, we never got to literally put out all of the designs and get the displays up, which it didn't make a difference because the fire marshal came, and the body forms that we had, we couldn't put the body forms on the wall. We couldn't have the body forms out in the hall. So it was a lot of stuff that we couldn't do. We had to move the signs back. We had to do a lot of stuff. So what I did was, once he started printing, once you print for one person and people see you print, oh, the line is open. They start coming, right? So then it just goes into that, right? I never worry. One thing I never worry about is doing an event is us not getting the job done. We never worry. Hey, babe. I'm back. Okay. You need anything? No. Okay. So we never worry about getting the job done because one thing I know, Ken Roberson is a beast, baby. And so when I tell you he's going to knock it out, my man's going to knock it out, right? I'm never worried about him, worried about me. Can I keep up? And by me not having Adrian there, it threw me off for a second because it was, okay, I got to grab the shirts from the Flash. This was the first event that we've done with the Flash in forever because I don't like doing lives with the Flash. My mindset with the Flash is immediately, what's my liability, right? So I have to make sure that I am there at that Flash and nobody comes past this line to get over here to even get close to the Flash, because you would be surprised how many people will reach over and try to get that shirt and not realize that Flash is a heater and that it's going to dry and burn them, right? And as soon as somebody gets burnt, even though they cross that line, it's on your insurance. So my mind is, that is my mindset, is make sure that at all times you avoid any type of lawsuit, right? And you got to answer the questions for the crowd. No matter how many signs you have up saying small, like we have stacks, small, medium, large, extra large, right? If the stack says small and you're looking for small, smalls are here, but people will still start trying to flip through the stacks, and you have to say, no, the smalls are here, right? What size are you looking for? Oh, I'm looking for a small. I want to, they're here, right? And so you go through that type of thing, especially when you have like multiple color shirts. I literally only like to do like 1 or 2 color shirts at events, because when you have multiple colors of shirts and you run out of shirts in certain sizes, people are like, oh, I really did want that blue. Well, you don't have any more in this, that, other. And they'll ask you, even though they don't see any out. And you're like, okay, this event is like 2 hours. We don't have any more, and they're like looking around trying to see what's over there in those boxes and stuff like that. So it can be a challenge. For me, the biggest challenge was trying to make sure that, because not only am I the person who's manning the display, and wowing the crowd and dealing with the dryer. The dryer is my number 1 job. My number 2 job is the takeaway, because if you do a live event and you don't get anything to promote your business from it, you don't conversate with people and be able to talk to people, right? And be able to hold that conversation and sell yourself at the event, then it's like you did the event for the money that was then and there, but you're not walking away with anything. So at this event, we had our business cards there. We had our bucks. And the bucks didn't go too great, y'all. The bucks did not go too great. And I think it was because I let them do the bucks at registration. And so I don't think that a lot of people it was explained to a lot of people of how the bucks worked until after the event. So now I'm just now starting to see people register for the bucks. When they were supposed to register while we were there. So it was some stuff that needs to be worked out on that, right? But as you're there and you're talking to people and your mindset, most people's mindset is, I got to watch this, I got to do this, I got to do that. And so then you can't really have that conversation with people, right? So I had to be interactive with people and do all of that and still get pictures. So in between me doing stuff, I'm trying to get pictures and I'm trying to get videos. Now, because I've done enough of these now, I know what picture angles to take, what pictures I'm looking for, right? What pictures people are going to react to on social media, what pictures to get for my email campaigns when I'm sending out email campaigns. So I don't know if you guys saw, but I did post over on the Lady PB Instagram page. I did post like just a little snippet of the event. Because I'm so used to videoing on YouTube, I used to do a lot of video, right? And now I don't. I don't do a lot of video. I just get a little bit of video and I get more still shots. Because at the end of the day, social media, reels may bring in more likes and more interaction, right? But still photos in your portfolio, things that people are not seeing, right? These are things that you're not seeing on Instagram. Having those still photos, I'm able to use those in email campaigns. When people ask for a portfolio and I send a link to the portfolio, they're able to actually see the pictures and things like that. So still photos seem to work better for me for the things that are going on behind the scene after the event, right? It's better for your Google ads and things like that. So, and then getting certain shots, making sure that you're getting shots of the product, right? You're getting shots of the crowd, you're getting shots of the interaction so that you can show that it's fun and interactive, the excitement. And also while you're doing all of that, as people would come and they would get their shirt, right? I'd say, hey, you want to take a picture? The biggest problem I had, which y'all is going to think is crazy, is my cell phone. So Ken brought the camera stand, right, to sit the camera stand up. The problem with the camera stand is that if you set a camera stand up and you just leave it sit here, right? Say this is the camera stand and the camera is just set here. That camera is only going to get what's there, right? Even if the camera is doing a 360 video or whatever, right? It's not going to get those down shots. It's not going to get those up shots. It's not going to get any type of dimension, right? And so while you can still use that stuff, you're not able to get those perfect shots. So before the event, plan out what shots you want to get. I did that and my stuff turned out great. Even though I was rushed, like if you go and you guys go and you look at the video, you'll see like shots of images here. You'll see shots up here. So in between drying, I'm doing all of this. And as people are walking up and I'm giving them their shirts, right? I'm explaining what the bucks are for, and I'm making sure, did you get our card? Do you? And they're doing little chats, right? Like, hey, do you guys travel? Do you do this? Do you do that? So I'm doing all of this type of interaction with them as I am printing or manning the dryer. Like some people came up and they were like, hey, what are you doing over here? And I said, I've got the most important job here today. I am I'm head countess over the dryer, you know. And so one guy says, well, LaTonna, I think you do have the most important job here today, right? And so we're talking and all of that stuff. And the other thing is, when you meet people, right, introduce yourself as, I don't care if I have to say, hey, I'm LaTonna, you are. If I got to say it 100 times at an event to introduce myself, to say who I am, sometimes you may want to have a name tag, right, that says who you are. When I hand the card, LaTonna Robertson, nice to meet you. right? That's a way, entryway into saying who you are, right? You can either use your first and last name, or you can just say, hey, I'm Latana, right? I don't say, hey, I'm T Baby, y'all. So, things like that. And then a lot of times I'll ask them, what do you do? Right? Great way to get involved, to get a conversation started. Anything to get a conversation started. Um, by introducing yourself, asking them what you do, what they do, asking them, hey, would you like to be featured on our Instagram page, and snapping a picture. I always ask before I just snap people's pictures. It's one thing if you got a camera up and you're just, kind of zooming across the room, but if you're going to just literally like be in somebody's face, be like, boom, you need to ask, right? Because it's rude. It's rude. So you don't want to be rude. And I took a picture of, there were two ladies that were looking at shirts, and I said, I don't want to disturb you guys. Is it okay if I snap a picture of you guys while you're looking at the shirts? And the lady looked up and I said, no, go ahead and look at the shirts. And so I didn't even get her face. It's just like, boom, let me just get the shot. I'm looking for the shot. And then you can always say, would you like it? Right? We're going to put this on our Instagram page. And so if you follow us and you already got your QR code over there for them to follow you, you'll be able to grab that picture. Things like that. So to be interactive with people. So it went really great for the most part. The events, our events, they always turn out great. People always love them. But at the end of the day, will I keep doing events? That's the question. Is it still worth it? For a lot of people, it will be. For me, I don't know if the live event scene will continue to be worth it. If the prices, if I'm not able to get my worth, then I'm going to focus more on my existing customers and building that customer base, because this is what happens. Remember, I said 4 days, 2 days before the 2 days before the event, the day of the event, and the day after the event, nothing popping, right? Because you're dealing with the event. I had people who are trying to get quotes on things, customers that are calling, emails that are coming in, and I literally can't get to it because I'm setting up for this event. And so if I had someone to answer the calls and to take over that stuff and to do the quotes, then it would be great. But I don't. So being that I don't, it's kind of like you're losing money to make money. And now the money that you're making isn't more, it's you're losing more than you're making, right? So at the end of the day, it has to make sense. Y'all have any questions about live events? It has to make sense for you to go out and do a live event. For me, it has to make sense for me to go out and do a live event. If I'm packing up a bunch of stuff and going somewhere, and I'm missing opportunity, right? I'm missing opportunity to make money, then it's an issue. For those people who maybe are not just sitting around and you just twiddling your thumb anyway and you're not making any money, right? Then it might be worth it for you to get out there. But when companies are now wanting to literally pay you what they pay in the shop, and you're wanting a discount on when they order 1,000 pieces, you're wanting that old school discount. That's not worth it for me anyways. And so my goal is to take care of the obligations that I am contractually obligated to do. And going forward, if a company wants to hire me for my services and they don't want to pay my price, then I just won't be doing live events, because it has to make sense for me, right? I'm actually thinking that in 2025, going on a hiatus from YouTube to grow the business, because I told Ken the other day we need to grow the business to $500,000. And we have now invested in the equipment to be able to run a $500,000 a year business from home. So you guys are going to see me kind of pull back from YouTube a little bit, and you're going to see me more active over on social media platforms like Instagram, Facebook. You're going to see me more interactive over there. I don't know if I will be active on TikTok, but I'm going to be more active on platforms that I feel that it's going to be less time on YouTube as social media, and more time on social media as T-Shirt Shop Dallas, right? Focusing on what I've built. Because at the end of the day, when I look at it, and this is just me being completely honest, y'all, when I look at it, I've built something that has last for January will be 25 years. Will be 25 years, right? And I'd be damned if, or I'll be a damn fool if I let it go and to go and get this money that's like for today, and this could, and I see that it's crumbling, and I see the way that the industry is going, for me not to focus on what I need to focus on to grow my business, to stay the course that has always fed me and kept me fat. Y'all see the fat shaking? Okay. So, that's just my mindset for you guys who are wanting to do live events. It is great for exposure, for you to get out and do an event, whether it be an outdoor event, an indoor event, an event that you're paid to go to an event where you're paying to go to. All of them are great in my opinion. There are certain events that you may not want to attend, right? So you have to kind of pick and choose what type of events you want to do, what type of pop-ups you're going to do. For me, 2024 has been that year of community, of me purchasing locally and stuff like that. Now you're finna start seeing me getting out more into the community, going into these groups, and really like attending these luncheons and things like that to build up TSB. And if a live event comes through and it's something that is going to fit in, that what I'm going to do is the same way that I qualify customers, I'm going to have to start qualifying people to do events with me, because at the end of the day, I got into events because it was premium. Well, I didn't get into it because it was premium. I got into it was fun because it was fun. But as I grew it, I said, okay, well, I boosted it up to where it was premium, and I grew the experience. And the experience is priceless. And so the experience that we are trying to provide over here is a premium experience, right? Where you're getting the cream of the crop shirts, the best shirts, the cream of the crop as far as it goes on shirts, right? When we're doing shirts for people, we're making sure that the setups are very nice. The displays, we provide the banners, we provide everything, even down to the electricity if they need it. So I'm going to stick to my guns when it comes to that, and make sure that we don't cheapen our brand to try to accommodate to any type of business. So that's just where we are, right? So that's where I am. Let me look over here into my mouse is not working, y'all. Tampa, you listening and doing Instacart. Arlene got that purple boss next to her name. Linus Lab. What is a good profit margin to expect? I already answered that. I don't know why my mouse is not going down. There we go. There we go. Hey, Cynthia. Da da da. Imperial. What is your initial reach out or email look like when reaching out to a new event planner? Now, Keisha, you guys have to figure out your own thing that you're going to do with email. I mean, you figure out like, hey, I'm going to reach out to somebody and I'm going to make an offer. So I'm not going to tell you my exact email, right? That would be like cutting off my nose to spite my face. But what your initial email should look like is an introduction that, hey, you're over here at Imperial Customs. This is what you're offering. You set it up. You describe who you are. You set up your offer, and then you do a call to action in your email. So those are the three things that I'm going to tell you to do is introduce yourself, right? Tell them what it is that you do or your offer, and then you leave a call to action for them, which could be either jumping on a call with you, maybe you're sending them some information about the events that you do or the services that you offer. I'm not going to tell you guys exactly like how to do it, because at some point it's kind of like y'all kind of got to think a little bit and put it figure out, that gives you enough for y'all to figure out like what it is that you're going to say, right? As long as I just give you the 3 points. So that's how I'm going to move forward from now on with stuff like that. And then once you do that initial outreach, for me, a lot of the people that I deal with are people that I actually talk to. And then I go back and I rely on those people. Now, I have, from me doing this event, I have a whole list of event planners that I'm now out there, that's out there in the realm. Hopefully it comes back and it helps me. I don't know yet if it's going to help, right? But it's like when you do, so let's say, for example, you go and you do your events, because you've done a couple of pop-ups, right? You have to promote yourself when you're out there and let people know, hey, I do birthday parties. Where I would start out at, y'all, is I would start out doing like maybe, for example, you offer your services to come out to a business's luncheon, and you start small. So maybe you offer to they're having a whatever day, right? And because everybody has these luncheons and different things. Maybe it's something where you may either be live printing there, or maybe you're just bringing out swag and you're kind of doing the introduction and getting them to know what it is that you do. So you just do like a small setup because you have a 4-1, you have a flash, and so you do that. And then once you do that, then other people there will start asking you questions and kind of get you into it. Like I said, I kind of fell into it from a planner that who was a customer, right? So if you have businesses that you're already talking to, then offer the services to them, and then offer the services to other businesses or other event planners. that are out there. And a lot of times it's not even just an event planner. That's some people are event planners, some people are not. A lot of times it's direct, going directly to the companies. The problem with event planners is that the event planner has that cut in there. And I'm starting to see that more and more often. When I'm hired directly from the company, it's more lucrative than it is when I deal with an event planner. So I don't want you guys to just think that, oh, it's just event planners, because I just did an event for event planners, right? But it's not that event planners are like your one all be all, that's who you're going to reach out to. And what I would tell you is, the biggest thing, y'all, is you have to have your social proof, right? So you have to be walking the walk and talking the talk. So you have to be showing on your social media that, hey, I'm printing, right? You have to be showing your printing. You have to be showing your setup. You have to be doing close-ups of your work. People want to see your work. Like, they don't want to see and that's the thing with us on YouTube, and that I hate about YouTube, is that it kind of trains your mind to just do this video and to not focus on the product that you're putting out, right? So you have to make sure that you are getting that product over to people, that people are seeing the product and they're seeing the service. Because those are the questions that they want to know. They want to know, who have you printed for? And it doesn't have to be live printing. Like, it can be people that you guys have, you've done printing for companies, right? They want to see your portfolio. I have a vast portfolio that's not on Instagram, that's not on YouTube, that's not on Facebook, things like that. So you create a portfolio, and it could be, and it's not even the gallery that I have on my my website, right? So when you have a portfolio, right, you have this massive portfolio, because the thing is, sometimes customer pictures and interactions and stuff like that, everybody doesn't want to be out into this world of whatever, right? So you have that you have those pictures in your portfolio, and then you also have those recommendations that are already in the portfolio, so that when someone asks you for a portfolio or ask you about your experience, you just send that over to them. Kind of like the hold on, like the da 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 da. Kind of like the social media kit that I have. My social media kit has who I am. It has acknowledgments. You would have people you've printed for, events you've attended, things you've done. Maybe it has your setup, pictures of setup pictures, things that people can rent. So I have like things that you can rent at your event, not just the actual screen printing, right? So let's say tables, the tables, the different backdrops that you can get, the signage you can get, all of that type of stuff. So you have to decide, like, when you do events, how far do you want to go with it, right? Do you want to just provide the live service? Do you want to provide the tent when you go out? Do you want to provide the electrical, a generator? Is that included in the service? So you have to sit down and create a list of what all is included in your service, and then create your package deal, and then present that package deal to people. And I would tell you to go ahead and you guys want to go ahead and get that together, so that when somebody does come to you, you kind of, you're already ready. And lastly, like, there's no set price with it because it's kind of just like custom t-shirts. Live events are custom and they are meant to be different. Like, you don't want to just offer one shirt, right? You don't want to just offer one shirt. People like options. That's the whole point of personalization, is for people to be able to personalize things. So you have to figure out, how am I going to do names and numbers? If they want to add a name to it, how do I do that? What do I do? How do I set it up? And that's why I'm telling you guys, you're going to learn it from experience. So I would start out doing small events. At least do, 2 or 3 small ones. And then once you do that, then you have a little bit of experience. You kind of know what to expect, because there's nothing worse than jumping into a crowd. You got to look at 2017. I was already printing for 17 years before I did my first lives. And I was really, like, never had a problem with the prints, but the problems was in setup and moving equipment where I needed to move it to, and all of that. And so I'm going to leave you guys with that, because I don't see any more questions on here about live printing. So if you guys don't have any more questions on here, then I think that's going to be it for today's video. But just make it fun. Make it fun. Make sure that, if I could tell you guys anything about a live event, is make sure that you're getting paid your worth. That's the thing. Because if it's not, and you're just moving equipment and you're just having so much downtime, then it's just not going to be worth it. And that's where it's at. To me, it's where it's getting to the point to where it's like, okay, do I want to even keep being bothered with it? Is it, some events are great, right? Some events are really, really great. So I'm not going to tell you guys, hey, live events are not great. Some events are really great, but it's getting few and in between now. And the work is getting more and more, and it's like jumping through hoops and stuff. And I'm not really looking to jump through those hoops. So that's what you guys are going to see coming from me, is me focusing more on the t-shirt business. I still have, like I said, we still got 3 months left out of the year. So I still have obligations that I got to do. And hopefully, things will change around or something like that. But if not, then I'm gone from the scene. All right, y'all. Talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.